Hello and welcome to Castle Combe.
This year is on pole position with Ashley Davis alongside him, Andrew Devaney and James Coulson on the second row of the Mini 7s, and it's going to be about halfway through, reckon the Mini Miglia drivers, that they start to catch up the 7s, and then it's going to be very busy indeed. So the cars forming up on the grid, two races to look forward to here effectively in the one. And Richard Casey, having had that embarrassing moment on the warming up lap, is going to be very, very keen not to do it again when we go racing. 20 minutes in prospect, flag goes out the first time the leader crosses the line once 20 minutes have been completed. And in terms of the Mini Miglias, race wins so far this year to Paul Thompson, Aaron Smith, who starts here on the fourth row of the grid, and Peter Baldwin. 3 races, 3 different winners, and it's pretty much the same in the 7s, 3 different winners: Paul Spark, Andrew Devaney and Gareth Hunt. This a championship round. The second race is a non-championship trophy race, both of them backed by St Andrews Bureau for the weekend. And as the last couple of cars, those of Roland Parslow and Julian Proctor, line up at the back of the grid, then we are going to be in business. There's Richard Casey, a wiper on in the green car, Dave Drew alongside him, somebody that's got faster and faster year after year, so he's definitely a man to watch here. Lots of potential winners, 6 or 7 I would say, on the leading 3 or 4 rows of the grid, all possible race victors here. The drivers have had the 5-second board, they now look towards the lights which go red. You can see when all the lights go red, they will pause, they will go out, the race will get underway. Bit of creeping there, look, as away they go now. It's Mark Cowan who was creeping, and a good start made by Dave Drew and a bad start made by Richard Casey on the run towards Folly for the first time, and then up Avon Rise, and Dave Drew has made a ripper start. He leads the pack then as they turn their way up towards Quarry for the first time with about 3 lengths advantage already. Richard Casey, the best of the rest then, slotting in behind him, and look at the spray being kicked up as the cars accelerate towards Quarry for the first time.
Yeah, coming into Quarry is a really tricky corner, especially on the first lap. If you're further back in the field there, your visibility is pretty limited. Even though David mentioned that they've got the wipers going, it's still very, very slippery and very little visibility out there if you're further back in the pack.
Paul Spark leading the 7s in the black car there, getting up with some of the slower Mini Miglias already now. Tony LeMay up from the 4th row of the grid in the orange car is 3rd, a tremendous first few corners for him, and he's making a move there, looks to try to get himself up into 2nd place as they go through Old Paddock for the first time. And looking to see what's going on in the Mini 7 cars. It's Paul Spark who leads, but only just. They're all ganging up on him there, in fact, as the race leader essays to get away up towards Tower for the first time. You're looking at Casey 2nd. Tony LeMay is there in 3rd as Dave Drew leads the way. Around the outside, tries to go Kane Aston. And there, look, Peter Baldwin, number 33, rather, I'm afraid, proving what he said to me at lunchtime, which is the car does not go quite so well in the wet at the moment. Mr. Mini is rather struggling here.
Yeah, that's a real surprise, actually. I've known Mr. Baldwin for many years now, as being sort of based near Cambridge, which is where I'm sort of from. And yeah, it's a shame to see him not at the front like we used to see him.
Change the lead in the 7s, because there, look, we've now got the car of Gareth Hunt, winner at Donington early in the season and last year as well, and he leads because Paul Spark was all over the grasses across the timing line. Dave Drew leads then, Richard Casey 2nd, 6/10 of a second between them at the end of lap 1. LeMay is 3rd and Aston 4th, Paul Thompson is 5th, Peter Baldwin's only 6th, Colin Peacock 7th, Aaron Smith, who's been a race winner this year, is 8th, Dave Edgecombe is 9th. Now that's a really good first lap, because Dave Edgecombe was 18th on the grid, he's 9th at the end of the lap, as Peter Baldwin now tries to fend off Colin Peacock, nose to tail those two as they go through Quarry. And this is the battle raging on for 6th place. The Swift Tune prepared car, Nick Swift's company, that builds the engine for many of these cars, and certainly it's the power unit of Colin Peacock's car, that looking now to get into the top 6. Can Richard Casey, though, their 2nd, come back as the race leader?
Yeah, there's still a little bit of a gap there. The leader is slightly pulling away, but he's getting a lot of pressure from the 3rd man there. You can see just darting out from behind the spray to get better visibility. Look at the cars, just literally so nimble, little things bouncing around over the fairly bumpy but resurfaced Castle Combe circuit.
And Tony LeMay, look at the orange car there, number 69, the Del Monte Garage car, looking left and right to get past Richard Casey, who is a one-make expert, so he sits in the middle of the road and he prevents LeMay from getting by, but I reckon they're catching Dave Drew once again. The gap was 6/10 at the start of this lap. They come now down towards Camp Corner, or Damp Corner in weather like this, and as very wide goes Richard Casey. Now Tony LeMay thinks about making a move to the inside. Well, he had a good think about it, but he wasn't near enough. Casey tries to brake as late as he dares, coming up towards the end of the lap. And Dave Drew leads the way, but have they managed to catch him over the line? 6/10 it was, half a second it is. Yes, the gap's slightly down, and Peter Baldwin is the quickest man on the circuit now. So, as the race starts to get into its stride, so too does Peter, and he's on the back of Paul Thompson, attacking for 5th place.
Yeah, LeMay in the 3rd place car, going wide there, sub 35, Mr. Spark. going a little bit wide, and that's not really where we've been very lucky there at Castle Combe there at the last corner before the pit straight. So he'll be gathering up his thoughts, having a deep breath, and then carrying back on again. So as we were saying, LeMay is struggling a little bit.
That's LeMay. He's off.
That is LeMay.
That really is struggling now.
Yeah, well, I just saw the back end of the car step out on the earlier lap, and he was then under pressure from Aston. So it'd be interesting to see what the problem was, and hopefully nothing too drastic that he won't be out in the race later on.
Yeah, because he had been going really well to that point, and so now we lose Tony LeMay, and that's going to shuffle the order. Paul Spark, that we saw on the grass, did of course leave the 7th off the line, but now finds himself in all sorts of strife and needing to fight back. So there is Colin Peacock, who gains a place with the demise of Tony LeMay, and this is what happened as the cars work their way up towards Quarry.
So it looks like something's broken on the front left. So front left,
he's got a puncture.
He's got a puncture, hence the back of the wheel, back of the car came up in the air. So very unfortunate.
The tyre looks inflated. Anyway, the car is on the grass and out of the race, and a big slide there. And Richard Casey's in trouble as well now. So that's another of the front runners. I wonder whether there was a little brush between them, which might have done some damage, but you've got both those cars that were swabbing, one out and one limping towards the pit lane, and Richard Casey looked jinking left and right as though he may also have a tyre going down or a suspension problem. Hearing at the car, it does look low, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's definitely an issue with the, possibly all of the tyres look fine, so I think possibly a suspension issue. You can just see that front left tyre just slightly up in the air, so three wheels actually touching the tarmac at the moment.
So what that means, there's another car off at Quarry, look in the background. Dave Drew here leads, as ever he did, and there is the car that's gone off into the tyres, and that's Paul Clark. So Dave Drew leads the way. From now, Kane Aston up into second spot. Kane, a former Mini 7 champion, and guess who's up to third? It's the redoubtable Peter Baldwin now. Peter could yet win this race, couldn't he, the way he's going?
Yeah, definitely. So a lot of damage from the 44 cars we just saw. But yeah, Baldwin on a real charge, absolute charge.
Peter Baldwin is the quickest man on the circuit. He's catching Kane Aston, and what he needs, I suppose, Charlie, is for the leading cars to get themselves together, as Paul Clark has abandoned ship now with his damaged car. If the two leaders get together and start scrapping, they'll hold each other up, play right into his hands. Yeah, and he's a wily fox, Mr. Baldwin, as we know. He knows these minis inside out, has had many years racing experience, and that's the first incident that we've seen there from Mr. Clark, and then you can just see he then goes in again because he has no steering, and bang. It's only a very soft little touch there, but giving the marshals a bit of action for their day here at Castle Combe. New race leader, look, Kane Aston has gone through, goes round the outside at Quarry. That's a very good move, but sometimes there's a bit more grip to be found on the outside line. Yeah, the outside line is actually slightly grippier because there's less rubber and oil that's been trampled into the tarmac, so the grippier line is always slightly offline, but then as that starts to wear in throughout the racing today, that will then also start to get slippery and people will be going even wider, and then we should probably start to see even more incidents. But this is a great first race, and Peter Baldwin on a real charge. Now there, at the back of this little gaggle, is the Mini 7 class leader, which is Gareth Hunt, who always goes very well round Donington, winner there this year, winner there last year, and you can see that the quickest of the 7s mixing it with the slower Mini Miglias now. So he's got himself up with the black car of Gordon Pocock, it is, making the run now up towards the S's, the first of the two chicanes, put in a few years ago really to slow down the general pace around Castle Combe. There behind is Andrew Devaney, he's been a victor this year in the 7s as well. And Paul Spark trying to recover, remember, after his grassy moments early on. There he is, absolutely flinging the car through the S's, and the next target for him is going to be Ashley Davis in the yellow car just a little bit further up the road. So Paul Spark here in a race that he needs to score well in. It's the championship race, so he needs the points, he needs a good finish. He's really hurling that car around, and with 12 minutes to go, he should yet gain some more places before the end. Yeah, he looks like he's on a real charge there, going wide on the previous corner, and again going sideways. So the car just slightly understeering initially, which is a lack of front-end grip. And then we've got a spinner there with number 94. That's Robert Pavey, and of course the leaders now in and amongst the 7, so they can ill afford to have back markers throw the cars at the scenery like that because they're going to try and thread their way by. It is, at the moment, Kane Aston who leads, and he, I think, has managed to escape. Yes, he has, look, in the traffic. Now, this is the battle for second place. It is Dave Drew versus Peter Baldwin. Dave has been racing Miglias for a few seasons. Peter Baldwin has been racing minis for a few decades. So, in terms of general experience, you put your money on Peter here to gain second place and then go after Kane Astin. They make the run now down towards the tower. Can Peter have a look on the inside line? He thinks about it, but Dave Drew positions the car there, and he's got to get past the back marker. So, as they get past Julian Proctor, he keeps out of the way. Peter Baldwin goes to the inside. That's not really on, is it? So he slots back in. What he needs is a good exit from here, and then a challenge maybe on the way down towards Count.
Yeah, that's pretty much what he'll be doing. And also seeing Drew there, having Baldwin in your mirrors, that's the last person you want to see in a mini race, having Baldwin right behind you, because he's very experienced and he's done the move, perfect move, as he then crosses the start-finish line to take another lap. So can he now chase the leader? The leader's still struggling with back markers a little bit further up the field.
Now you can see why we go on about Peter Baldwin being the real mini maestro that he is. He is now 2 seconds behind Kane Astin, and as long as he can shake off Dave Drew, he should be able to go after the race leader. In fourth place behind them is Colin Peacock. Fifth is Paul Thompson, who's not really delivering what was expected. There he is, but Paul's a former champion, and not just in these cars, but in the sevens as well. You're on board with him now, going up towards Quarry. Part of the problem may well be here that it's steaming up inside the car. Visibility is not exactly great, is it?
Yeah, so we're on board with Paul Thompson now, car number 5. So as we mentioned about the wipers, we've got a little bit of fogging up on the inside there, and that wiper pretty much is just vaguely doing its job as best it can, as we then go down a gear, round the S's, and then back on the power on the exit again, trying to get as much traction as you possibly can. But you know, while you're all sat at home watching this, and the keen spectators out on the grandstands, there's not much visibility in these cars at all.
And look, he's trying to wipe the screen with his glove. He's taking his glove off his hand, and he's sort of flicking the screen with it to try and gain some visibility. Often in mini racing, you'll find cars with heated front screens as well as rear. Paul Thompson is not one of those drivers, and therefore he's having to do the hard work himself. Aaron Smith, 7th in the pink and white car. He's a regular front runner as well, and he's been a winner this year. And look at this, because Dave Drew trying to work his way through the mini sevens. He's lost out to Peter Baldwin, and as they come now down towards camp, he's dropping away from Peter. The race leader is Kane Astin, who comes across the line. For my money, he is being caught in the lead of the race. It was 2 seconds. Now the gap is down to 1.2. Peter Baldwin's going to win this, would be my prediction. He is reeling in there. Kane Astin, there's the orange car of Peter Baldwin. The gap 1.2 seconds with 9 minutes to go, just under half the race remaining. So it's going to take, really, I think, just bad luck or mechanical drama to stop Peter Baldwin in his tracks here from notching up yet another win.
Yeah, and you've got Peter Baldwin. It's always better if you're the slightly second driver or third driver gauging what the leader's times are, because the leader obviously doesn't know where to brake and when to put the power back on. But being the car that's chasing, you always gain that slight advantage. So Baldwin really ready to pounce, and as you can see, the cameras don't lie. He's getting closer and closer, and we'll be able to give you an update on the lap times as they cross the line for the next lap.
Yes, he was very nearly a full second faster last time through, only 8/10 quicker. It's not quite a full second, but very nearly. He's done the best lap of the race, and he's getting closer and closer to Kane Astin all the time. Now Kane, to be fair, is no slouch in a mini, but Peter has got all of these decades of experience under his belt, and he's going to use them, that's for sure. We've got 8.5 minutes of the race remaining, so Kane Astin powers his way now out of Bobby's.
Yeah, and you've got the leader there flashing the lights, because he knows that Baldwin is bearing down on him, so the lights are flashing just to warn those back markers that are normally novices and new to racing and aren't really looking in their mirrors that much, because they're so busy keeping their own car on the track here at Combe, which is a very, very slippery day here in the wet conditions.
And Dave Drew, 3rd, is being caught by Colin Peacock. Now, we saw Paul Thompson flicking the screen earlier on with his glove. You can see he's got it in his hand, ready to do that again. His visibility decreases altogether. The leaders, though, are nose to tail, and Peter Baldwin's about to make his first move for honours here as they make the run up towards Quarry. Is he near enough? I don't think he is. He ran 7th early on, and now he's there pitching for the race lead. So Peter Baldwin has worked his way up into 2nd spot. He's lost a bit of ground, actually, at Quarry.
Yeah, he did lose a bit of time on the exit. I think he went in too tight to try and sort of do a dummy move, as the leader then saw that coming, and then took the proper racing line to get a good run on the exit. And also, you'd expect sort of Peter Baldwin to have his lights on, trying to hassle the leader, just to say, come on, I'm here behind you. They either don't work, or they're friends and they're looking after each other. Again, the leader flashing his lights there at back markers really is pushing on, because he desperately wants this win.
Hurls the car into tower. I just wonder as well whether Peter might be content to sit there for a few more minutes and just let Kane Astin do the hard work. Let him work his way through the back markers, and Peter just sits there, and when he's ready, he can make his move. Now, this is Paul Thompson. right-hand glove in his right hand, so that when he runs out of visibility again, he can flick that against the screen, try and find a bit more visibility, and he turns his way then. Now look at the concentration as he's trying to peer through the screen.
Well, he looks like he's trying not to lose his glove more than anything. He's holding his right hand, saying, I'm not going to lose my glove, because he doesn't want to get that then trapped around his foot, around the pedals, and also still needs it to wipe the screen if it keeps fogging up.
In the meantime, the fight between Colin Peacock and Dave Drew comes across the line, with Colin Peacock now third, so that's another place lost for Dave Drew that led early on in the race, remember. And how about this in the sevens? Paul Spark coming back and Andrew Devaney, they're side by side. This is for second in class. Devaney, you can tell, because he's got his name on the front of the Rob Selby tuned car. This is for the overall race lead. Peter Baldwin almost up alongside Kane Astin, who moves across. Peter backs out of it, slots back in behind him. This is proper mini racing, isn't it?
Yeah, this is really clear. We're going to have this all day from Combe, so this is going to be some great racing, and we're already starting to see it in race one. So Baldwin again lost out there. The leader making the car very, very wide, making it very difficult for Baldwin to come through. The lights flashing again just briefly there on the back markers. So he really is on a mission here, and Baldwin, yeah, has lost out a little bit.
But there's more traffic ahead, and Kane Astin has to make the dart up the inside, heading down towards Bobby's, and look at Peter Baldwin go, but he's not going to get there in time, no. James Coulson has to come across there, looking number 7 in one of the mini sevens, to take the line for the corner. I don't think he got in the way deliberately of Peter Baldwin, but he had to turn in sooner or later, so Peter has lost a little bit more time out of all of this. We've now got only 5 minutes to go, so it was at the 9-minute mark. Peter got up into second place, but now he's kind of running out of time, isn't he? So I think Peter needs to get on with this. They come across the line. Last time around, Kane Astin did the best lap of the race. He's widened the gap 2 laps in a row now. It's got up to 0.7 of a second.
Yeah, that was perfect. Kane Astin, you know, back markers can either be your friend or your foe, and that was absolutely perfect for him to just edge his lead out a little bit more.
And now they've got more back markers, and they've got quicker sevens, because they're working their way up the mini 7 order. They've just gone past, for example, the fight for third and fourth between number 110, which is Ashley Davis and Andrew Devaney. So there is Kane Astin, who still leads outright, and Paul Spark, who is back just second now in the sevens, is in and amongst them. So Peter Baldwin's got to get past Paul Spark in a moment as they come now up towards Old Paddock. Paul Spark gets out of the way, does he? Whoa, no, there's a bit of a rub between them. So Peter Baldwin was going for the inside, and Paul Spark trying to drive his own race there. Didn't quite, I think, give Peter Baldwin's faster Mini Miglia enough room. Thankfully, they don't come to grief, but that would have just lost Peter Baldwin even more time. We're now down to 4 more minutes here.
Yeah, it was only just a kiss on the front wheel, so it wouldn't have done any damage, but Baldwin being very unlucky with these back markers.
He is, because there are now, what, 2 more slower cars he's got to find a way through. Kane Astin leads on this lap number 11. Down they come, end of lap number 11 at Castle Combe, and there is Paul Spark diving up on the inside. This is the corner where he came to grief earlier and went bouncing all over the grass. There, number 11, the yellow and blue car, is Kane Astin, who leads the way. The man he's just lapped is Gareth Hunt, who leads the Mini 7 part of this combined grid. And now, a gap of 2.7 seconds between Kane Astin and Peter Baldwin. Well, I was suggesting it might be a mechanical problem that stopped Peter from winning this. It hasn't been that, it's been traffic, and Gareth Hunt there, almost throwing the car away at Quarry, and with it, a class lead. When he managed to hang on to that, that was a good save. Yeah, great car control, and even waving out the window, either at blaspheming with his hands at the back markers, or waving at his fans saying, did you see that? But that was a great sideways action. Front-wheel drive cars, when the car goes sideways, you have to keep your foot absolutely nailed, as the front wheels then pull you out of the slide with a tiny bit of correction on the wheel, and a cocky wave to say, did you just see that? So great driving from Hunt. He can afford to be a little bit cocky because he's 6 seconds ahead of Paul Spark in class, but a few more of those and that gap will soon disappear, even assuming the car stays on the road. There's Colin Peacock, who is in 3rd place. Kane Astin getting quicker. Peter Baldwin's lap times have not been so good of late, mainly because of traffic. Now, if he's clear of back markers, can he do anything about the race leader? Working their way, you can see they're just out of Bobby's, into which comes Colin Peacock, who has just managed to put a lap there on Julian Proctor, who drives one of the mildly modified 1275cc cars that runs in the Mini 7 class. So Kane Astin, lap 12 done, leads over the line. 2.7 seconds he was ahead of Peter Baldwin. The gap now is 1.7 seconds ahead of Peter Baldwin. Clear road, and Peter is charging once again. We've got 2 more minutes left, so it's going to be this lap and 1 more, I would predict.
And Peter has actually now put his lights on, so he either couldn't find the switch, but he knows these cars inside out, so of course he knew where it was. But we've got literally 1 minute 50 seconds left remaining of this race. He's still chasing though, he's not giving up.
He knows the cars inside out, he knows this type of racing inside out, so now that it's getting towards the end, now he thinks exert a bit more pressure on Kane now, so this is when Peter really does mean business. Lights on to try and frighten Kane Aston out of the way, or indeed get through any more traffic that you might have found up the road. So Peter Baldwin comes into Old Paddock, the gap was down by a full second, but it's not coming down that much to the eye. Kane Aston finds a back marker. Is he going to be able to get through safely? Yes, he is on the run down towards Tower. Peter Baldwin has to get through as well, and does he? There's the gap on the inside. Yes, he does. Moves himself through. And the cars now accelerate towards Bobby's. We've got just over a minute, so it's going to be the last lap they will start this time. Kane Aston comes then from Bobby's up towards Camp Corner, and they're way off. In the background goes what looks like one of the sevens as Peter Baldwin charges on in pursuit of Kane Aston. But I think now that gap with a lap to go is going to be too great.
Yeah, so it is going to be, just going to see, yeah, checkered flags.
Yeah,
now.
The flag has gone out. We've got 42 seconds on the clock still, but the flag has gone out early for whatever reason, and so that deprives Peter Baldwin of another lap, and out has gone the checkered flag. So the race brought to a halt a lap early, effectively, and it gives Kane Aston a win, and Peter Baldwin was a bit closer, but another lap, he might have been up there. Now let's just see what's going on lower down. There is Paul Spark, who is going to be the second 7 home, and Aaron Smith is on the road with him, and he's 6th overall, 6th in the Mini Miglia class. Well, frustrating that, wasn't it, the flag coming out when it did, because Peter Baldwin was having a real go.
Yeah, it was, and also Drew there, really struggling with the back end of his car there as he crossed the line, pretty much nearly sideways coming out of Camp Corner. And this man's very relieved, our camera car, with being able to slow down now after the checkered flag, holding his glove, which he was using as a chamois leather around the track.
So Kane Aston celebrates a win, and still they come pouring over the line. Look, there are the Mini 7s, that class won by Gareth Hunt from Paul Spark and Andrew Devaney. And as ever at Castle Combe, the marshals and the fans appreciative of mini racing. There was a famous mini race here quite a few years ago, where so good was it that the Driver of the Day award was spread over the entire grid. Everybody was a judge within the one race to be the Driver of the Day. It was just such a good race. And Kane Aston, it is then, who gives us within this year's Mini Miglia Challenge 4 different winners. He comes home victorious, and there you can see Peter Baldwin is behind him in 2nd, Colin Peacock 3rd, Paul Toxton 4th, Dave Drew 5th, and Aaron Smith in 6th place. Gareth Hunt taking the 2nd win of the year in the 7s. And Peter Baldwin, in the end, 1.4 seconds adrift of Kane Aston, our first winner of the day.